This morning to discuss further, Sharmila Joshi as well as T.S. Hariyar are now joining us. Hariyar, let me come to you first. On both the primary markets, with the response that they got, you think the listing would be blockbuster?
I think it should be a good listing because, interestingly, I think in both the cases, the retail portion has been quite well subscribed because I think prior to Indigo, the concern was that retail was more or less absent in the markets. I think that seems to have changed. And that is kind of ratified if you look at the Narayana Hrudayalaya IPO, which closed yesterday. The retail was once again quite encouraging. So I would believe that, yes, a 20-25%, I think, premium and listing seems to be on the cards for both the issues.
Right. Sharmila, you would also expect listing gains for these names?
Yes, I think, given the kind of retail subscription as, we've been discussing, and the grey market premium is always a good indicator. So I think given that, it seems reasonable to expect that both the issues should get a good opening. Very honestly, I didn't have recommendations on either of the IPOs because, typically these offer for sale are not something that I really, go for in that sense. But I think, in the current market scenario where you're anyway a little confused about market direction and really mid-caps seem to be the more stronger play, I think both issues will have a decent opening.
Right. About 20 seconds remaining for opening. The pre-open session of the primary markets would start at 9:15 and the debut would only happen at 10 a.m. today. So about 10 seconds remaining. 45 points higher is where Nifty is expected to open. Yesterday's decline or yesterday's market action was 48 points lower. So we are expected on the opening side to at least reverse that or go back above the 7,800 level. That's an important level and traders would be eyeing out for that level. We have the prices coming in 129 points higher for Sensex, 44 for Nifty. BHEL on your screen is up 1 rupee. BPCL is up about 3 rupees or so. M&M 5 rupees higher. HDFC Bank 6.8 rupees, closer to 0.6%. Asian Paints absolutely flat. HDFC Limited on the positive side. Kotak a 0.25% decline. Dr. Reddy's up 0.5%. Cipla up 0.3. Grasim up close to 6 or 7 rupees. Tata Steel probably should be the top gainer, 2.6% higher. Hina told us about the plans that they have for their UK business or UK long steel product business. They have signed a MOU with a player for due diligence, and that's a name which is up about 2.5 to 3%. Tata Motors 1 rupee higher, but hovering around the 380 mark. That's exactly where it has been for a while. Sun Pharma is up about 10 rupees or so. ONGC is also a stocks in news within their subsidiary where they had given a interest-free loan or a soft loan. They are converting that into equity to 232 for opening. Prestige Estates 202, 4% on the higher side. They have acquired stake worth about 600 crores. Again, the amount has not come in from the management, so amount is something which reports are indicating. The management has just said that they are increasing the stake, and now their stake would be 99%. Wipro did an acquisition. It was up. Welspun Corp, I think Welspun Enterprise was the one that sold. So Welspun Corp is up 0.7. It's a similar group company, and Welspun Enterprise is the other company which has done this particular deal. Aurobindo Pharma, they are likely to acquire or in process to acquire $200 million biosimilar drugs which treat cancer, which would give them a new foray if it actually happens. But again, this also raises the concern that next year when they are expected to be free cash flow, they would not be free cash flow, or the cash flow for dividends may not be particularly that high. JP Infra 2.7% higher, 12.9 as far as JP Infra is concerned. It's known that JP Group is looking to sell a lot of its assets. Orchid Pharma, they have extended a loan facility via their arm in UK. So $800 million is what they have. They are going to use it for buyouts as well as M&A activity. Chambal Fertilizer, shipping business, which has been a pain for this company or slightly taking this company on the lower side in terms of profitability. They have decided to sell that. Not that price has come out, but they would sell it on a slump sale basis. M&M news flow coming in about M&M asking for an excise cut on Bolero, flat with a positive bias. Uttam Galva is also opening in on the positive side. Opto Circuits is up 6%. There was some news flow regarding Opto Circuits. We'll just get back to that. So it's up about 6%, but it's a 12 rupee name, and even volumes are not particularly that high. Chambal Fertilizer 5% higher. Vinity Organics is up 5%. Oswal Chemical, but volumes probably to Oswal Chemical are very low. It's just about 500 share. Prestige Estate is now closer to 202 levels. It's been around this level since opening, so maintaining the gains. Power Finance is down about 3. Power Finance actually did very well in the last few days, so maybe there is some amount of profit booking over there. Tata Steel 2.6% up. On the higher side, Thomas Cook is up 2.6. GMR Infra went to the highs of 16 rupees yesterday and again going back to that level. Mahindra Life 2.2% higher. Jaiprakash Associates up 2.2. Gujarat Industries again volumes very low. IVRCL 59,000, good volumes, 2% higher. GAIL is up 2%, 345. GAIL, Petronet LNG as well as IGL, all the three gas companies have done particularly well in the last 45 to 50 days. Bajaj Electrical is up about 1.6. ENIL is up about 1%. Odisha Mineral is up 1.8. Shanti Gears is up 1.8. DCB Bank 1.1% on the higher side. Gujarat Fluorochemical 1.4% higher. Jindal Steel, that is JSPL, is up 2%. Vedanta is up 1.6. HCC, Hindustan Construction Company, opening in on the stronger side. Now just looking at the market, so Sensex is up 182 odd points. Nifty has also extended on to gains, so we are well above yesterday's high level, just actually about 5-10 points away from that, but 52 points gain, and it's looking in quite decent. We were talking to TS Harrier and Sharmila. They are still with us. Sharmila, what do you make of Reliance Communication? Day in, day out, you're getting news coming in regarding some asset sale, regarding deleveraging process. You think it's positive or it's just a cleanup sort of a thing?
Whether it's a cleanup or whether it's a positive, I think it's definitely played out well for the stock price, because I think ever since this news sort of started gaining ground in Reliance Communication, we've seen it move higher from the 60-65 level that it used to be to current 87 level. So I personally think that it should consolidate around this level, and until, as you're saying, you see something further that makes you positive on the stock, apart from some of the things that they've been talking about, they should actually now happen, and you should start seeing sort of really effect on the in terms of in the balance sheet. I think perhaps a little more from here. My target on the stock would be closer to 92-95, but I think thereafter it should consolidate at that level, because I think a lot of this good news is now discounted.
But as you said, a lot of good news is discounted, so a lot is already expected from the name.
Yes, I think the kind of moves that they started a couple of quarters back, I think, those are the moves that you are now seeing play out in the stock price. So I think everything that they've done to bring their leverage down has been a positive.
Right. Harrier, what would be your view on Tata Steel if they actually manage to sell their UK long product business of the asset that they have over there? Would it be a huge positive?
No, I'm not sure whether it will be a huge positive, because I think for Tata Steel, the big worry seems to be that, globally there is a glut of steel and steel prices are on the downtrend. I think if they manage to sell their long products in UK, and let's not forget that the valuations are depressed, so I think they're not going to get a great price for that. I think largely it seems to be factored into the fact that the prices already bounced from about 220 to about 260. So I think the longs product sale is more or less factored in. Even if it does happen, I don't think there is going to be any great upsides from these levels, because the bigger concern for Tata Steel continues to be the fact that globally steel demand seems to be down, and it is likely to be down for the next at least 3 or 4 quarters.
Right, but would you be a buyer into metals pack, because metal names have done well from the lows, or do you think the recent bounce back already factors in a little bit of recovery coming next year for the metals pack?
See, I'm not very positive on the metal price front, because I think if you look at any of the industrial metals at this point of time, whether you look at Chinese demand, whether you look at revival in demand, I think the prices of these metals seem to be getting closer to the 2004 lows than to the 2007 highs. So I don't think I would be too positive as far as the metal prices are concerned. There's another angle, and that is a dividend yield angle. Now, if you look at any of these metal companies, be it Vedanta, be it NMDC, or even to an extent Tata Steel, I think these stocks are making a lot of sense on a dividend yield basis. For example, I think NMDC offers about a 9 to 10% dividend yield. I think Vedanta offers 6%. So from a dividend yield perspective, yes, I would believe that the downside risk is not too much, but upside potential, I'm not too sure.
Right. Sharmila, what will be your view on a company like Tata Steel, which is again trying to deleverage, but the stock price is very, very low, or significantly off the 2014 highs?
Yes, I think absolutely, as Hariharan has been saying, that I think the big negative for all metal companies is the fact that metal prices have been, at the record lows that most of them are at. and you're not really seeing a pickup in demand. We did see a bit of a improving picture in China in between, which is why I think from where prices sort of stabilize, and we've seen a little bit of a recovery in most of the metal stocks. But I think this development is a definite positive, because I think in a bad time, if you can get rid of an asset which was sort of a drag, I think you would view it as not a very big positive, but definitely a relief, and from that sense a positive. So I think that the kind of up move that we are seeing on Tata Steel is, I think, justified given the fact that they would be able to sell this longs business as they've been discussing, as has been reported in the papers today.
Right. Can you just tell your view on Sun Pharma as well, Sharmila? The observation letter is being made public overnight. They had six observations that were given in the warning letter. However, none of them were related to data integrity. You still believe Sun Pharma, it should be taken as a positive, as data integrity issues were not highlighted?
For me, yes, I think this is a good price to start looking at Sun Pharma. There is no doubt that, as you're saying, the US FDA letter and the points that they're talking of is something that one should take seriously. But I think in a way, it was not unexpected that that the letter would be sort of issued, which is why I think you're seeing a bit of a recovery in the stock price as well. So I would really look at these levels because there's no taking away from the fact that when they reported numbers, that was like sort of going to be the problem issue going ahead. So in that sense, there is no reason to expect that there will be a runaway rally in Sun Pharma. But I think if you're willing to give it time of a couple of years, then it's a good large cap pharma to get into at these levels.
Right. Hariyar, what will be your view on Prestige Estate? That's a name which has acquired a 600 crore JV partner's stake in an asset which was which is largely a rented property, and they are taking in a full 99% stake into that premium property, which they already had 37% of.
Yeah, marginally it could be a positive, but we have our concerns over most of the south-based companies, because what has happened in the past is that a lot of the south-based real estate companies, be it a Prestige Estates, be it a Shobha, they have managed to outperform the north and the west-based real estate companies, because south was a place where, number one, the demand was growing faster, and number two, I think the what I call the slack or the stockpile of properties was much lower. I think that is changing. The stockpiles are rising in the south. Demand is slowing. So I don't think I would be too positive on these stocks. Yes, the news flow that you're talking about could be a short-term positive, but I think from a medium-term perspective, fundamentally, we are not too positive on this space.
Right. Names like Reliance Communications, Hariyar, with a lot of news flow coming in, Sharmila thinks that a lot has been priced into that. Are you a believer that, with such sort of deleveraging, corporate action coming in, the name would be in focus and returns can be made even from here on?
No, I would broadly agree with Sharmila that in the short run probably there's not much left on the table. But if you're willing to have patience and hold on, I would believe there are still upsides on RCom. Number one, the deleveraging I think is something that was long required. They have a debt of about 40,000 crores, and I think if 30,000 crores can be raised through the deleveraging, I think it's great news. Number two, let's not forget that within the telecom space, the interest is shifting from telecom service providers to infra providers, and RCom being an infra provider and a major infra provider for Jio, I think once Jio is launched, there could be a kind of a rethink as far as RCom is concerned. So I would be positive, but yes, not much from a short-term perspective, but more from a long-term perspective.
Right, but again, you should use as declines as opportunities to buy, not essentially in a hurry to do so.
Absolutely. I think any decline in RCom should be a level to buy.
Right. How would, you view names like L&T and BHEL? They have been significant underperformers. You've been liking L&T for a while. Do you continue to like that name at lower prices?
No, actually, we changed our view on L&T about 7 months back, because we didn't see any worthwhile pickup as far as the capital cycle was concerned, and we continue to remain negative. We believe that while they may look attractive in terms of price, there is no immediate visibility as far as these stocks are concerned. So we continue to be negative on both the capital goods plays.
Right. Sharmila, what would be your view on SKS Microfinance now at around 500 rupees? You have liked that name for a while. You think it's just growing into strength, and now at 500 also it's not looking very expensive?
Absolutely. I think we need to wait for another quarter earnings to come in. But, as you said, the regulation has sort of supported macro finance, we've seen the rally now extend beyond SKS Micro into even other names. We've seen, for instance, Manappuram Finance. So I think it might be time to even look at some other companies within the same microfinance, NBCC kind of space, because the regulation has been in favor of them. And I think the kind of interest rate cycle indication that we have going ahead will also support these companies somewhere in the longer term. So not just SKS Microfinance, I would even be positive on some of the housing finance companies like an LIC Housing Finance, for instance, at this price, or a Diwan Housing Finance. So I think it's rather than, that whole debate that we always have that banks look to be at very good valuation, so should you buy banks? So I would really wait for banks, but I think if you had to buy something, within the financial space, I would start looking at some of these companies.
Right. Hariyar, what would be your view on a name like ONGC? They are transferring or from their subsidiary OBL, the debt that they had given, which was interest-free, they are converting that into equity. Should that be something which should be taken in as negatively, or it is broadly expected as it's a part of ONGC itself?
No, I think the impact of that could be more marginal. The biggest problem for ONGC, like for most oil extraction companies worldwide, is the price of crude. And the price of crude, the way it is stuck at below $40 per barrel, and with the kind of US stockpiles you have, with the kind of production glut that is coming from the OPEC, and with the US now being now lifting the ban on export of crude, I think the crude prices are going to stay below 40 for a long time, and that is not great news for ONGC. So, irrespective of what happens to that OVL debt, we continue to be negative on all the oil extraction companies, be it ONGC, Oil India, or even Care India.
Right. Sharmila, your view on ONGC or Oil India? Despite attractive valuations, as Hariyar said, crude prices are very low, so just stay away from these names?
I think so, at least for the bit, because definitely the indication seems to be that crude will head even lower from this level, and we haven't even seen really Iran join the oil production bit. So I think I'd wait on that, and I agree, like from an enterprise value, these valuations look great, and if you're buying with that 4-5 year perspective, I think even then it makes sense to wait for a couple of quarters before you buy either of these stocks.
Sharmila and Hariyar, thank you so much for taking out time for us. Always a pleasure talking to you.